and I'll go and get it.
Got it.
Got it. Yeah, so
I think we should try to do a Christmas musical on Zoom. Between us.
That's the medal. It's
That's strange.
It is. It's a
Yeah.
strange one,
Oh,
and pretty big as well. So
Yeah, it looks bigger than you are from this angle. Yeah.
it more or less was. If it was a biscuit, I'd be well.
They had a bite, got me.
Yeah, it was a good race though. I'm trying to
just
think.
to go through again, why did you get that medal, Paul?
This was from the Vitality Big Half, which I ran on Sunday in
Well done.
London. So it starts on Tower Bridge and goes round part of the London Marathon course and finishes at Cutty Sark. There were about 12,000 runners.
Incredible.
well done.
Charlotte Purdue was the
Brilliant.
women's winner. I'm not sure who won the men's.
Does it feel intimidating running with so many?
No, I love it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, the lady that came second in the women's race, she looked an attractive woman.
Oh, I didn't. I did see them going the other way, Paul. I must have missed that one. Why was it on TV?
Yes, yeah,
Was it? Right.
No fancy that.
yeah.
I didn't know it had been on. It's on the iPlayer. I know that. So, yeah, it was just nice to be out there. You know, you realise what you've missed after so long.
Yeah.
Did you finish on the cobblestones?
Didn't know, but we went on Wapping High Street.
Right.
I don't think that's usually part of the marathon course because that was cobbled. That was hard work
Yeah.
because it's a little bit late in the. Well, I said late. You know, it's only a half marathon, so there's about 10 miles or something like that, and you could feel it.
Yeah.
You know,
A load of cobbles then.
Yeah.
it was a load of cobbles. I tell you.
Northampton Town.
Yeah, yeah. But yeah, good event.
Well done.
It doesn't look like Richard's going to make the send off. He's
Yeah, no, I was
Probably
coming on. It shot off. It always happens every week.
Yeah, I've told him about you, Chris.
Yeah, thank you, John, for your support.
he's probably having a cold shower.
Let's not go
Well, I
into that.
hope you don't come back then, right?
Yeah.
Stop that.
So just to make some excuse for my not having things done, for the people who don't know, unfortunately my father-in-law passed away last Wednesday.
Oh dear.
So
You've got a lot on your plate.
yeah, so as far as I know, there was only one person on the screen who knew my father-in-law, and that was Chris.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
I'm just explaining that unfortunately George passed away last Wednesday. So
Oh, I'm very sorry, Keith.
so
Very sorry.
that's my poor excuse for not having things done. It's
Oh,
a whirlwind since. So anyway, that's let's get the bad news out.
Promoted dialogue, so it was successful.
Yeah,
no, that is so sad. Will you please give my condolences to Sue, of course, please?
I certainly will, Chris. And
That is very sad. What a nice gentleman he was.
the amazing thing about it is he loved his football. He was a fan primarily, but a Unitedite as well. But he always kept note or an interest in part of our extended family is Richard Barker, who's Rotherham's assistant manager, and his brother was Chris, who sadly passed away. But Richard's son, Charlie, plays for Charlton Athletic.
Oh,
So on the Tuesday night when I was round at Sue's dad's, and I was just sat in the chair next to him, talking to him and that, and going through the football scores as they were coming in. And I happened to mention Charlton Athletic, and he sort of leaned across and he asked if Charlie was playing. Now that's sort of the night before he died. He was still, he still had it here.
Yeah.
The mind was willing, but the body was weak.
Yeah.
Anyway, that's Sue's dad. So I'll now pass you over to Chris, who's going to tell us about his personal memories of Alan Hodgkinson, the great Alan Hodgkinson. So over to you, Chris.
Thanks, Keith. Just as I found this photograph recently, didn't use it last week. Hodgie with the World Cup, he was involved in 4 World Cup tournaments and only second to Joe Shaw in appearances at Bramall Lane. So, yes, last week I just tried to paint a picture as best I could of his careers, but this week it's more about the man and my knowledge, my memories of Alan. As I grew up in the 60s, in a big sporting family, we did cricket in the summer and we did football in the winter. That was life in those days. And my first soccer hero was my dad's great friend, which was Hodgie, Alan Hodgkinson. And these are a few personal recollections of him up to his death in 2015. Several of the stories and pictures that I'd like to share with you are previously unpublished. So literally for the first time this morning, you're going to hear and see a few things that maybe are interesting and you haven't seen before. Excuse me. I'm going to start with something from my dad's autobiography, which I have gone through in detail in past meetings. And just want to tell you how he met Alan Hodgkinson. This is my dad speaking. A former school pal from my years at Retford Grammar School was Bob Widdison, and he gained a place on the Sheffield United staff as the reserve team goalkeeper. And it was in fact Bob who introduced Alan to me. And along with his dear wife Brenda, his 2 daughters Paula and Karen, and his son Andrew, we all became very great friends. Hodgie left me 4 tickets at every away game for myself, Mary, Chris, and then Nigel. And he did that and throughout the 60s, right up to the end of his career in 1971. Alan was a truly great goalkeeper and he was my very loyal friend. So that's where it all began. Back to me. I would personally meet Alan outside of every away game in the First Division when he would come out to have a chat before the game, and he would pass the tickets for the grandstand on those grounds to my dad. For a lad of 10 and then up to 15 in that 5-year period, and a fanatical fan at that, these moments of course were very special, and Alan obviously became my first soccer hero. Whilst I never saw Alan probably at his most agile best, I do remember 2 outstanding games. The first one at Hull, when he made 2 acrobatic saves from Ken Wagstaff, which I can see now and were incredible. And his man of the match efforts in a vital victory chasing promotion in a game at Birmingham, which we managed to win 1-0. In the 1971 season. And for certain reasons like that, I can't ever forget just how brilliant Hodgie was in those games. After 15 years dedicated service at the Lane, Alan was awarded an evening benefit game in May 1968 at Bramall Lane against the Owls. And I attended that game with my dad, and it was a great atmosphere with over 19,000 people there. This is the getting increasingly old, like we all are, but that's the brochure, that's the match brochure from the game in '68 at Bramall Lane. It featured a Legends game at the start, and then a full-blown, quite competitive game with Wednesday, which ended 2-2. Some of you may know this, but here it is. A couple of days afterwards of the match, Alan was summoned into the office and informed by the then club secretary that the night's takings of over £7,000 had gone missing.
Oh,
And Alan Hodgkinson was never recompensed for this disgraceful situation
Unbelievable.
by United. In later years, I've seen a quote from Alan that says that oversight is his only regret of his time spent at Bramall Lane. And to this day, the club have never recompensed Alan Hodgkinson. He didn't get a bean. The money was absconded. You might be surprised by that, but it's in his book, by the way, and it's an absolutely true story.
I'm surprised, and I don't want to be controversial. Alan Hodgkinson was brilliant, superb. But to me, as a Wednesday, that compares with sacking Derek Dooley on Christmas Eve.
Well,
But it's more despicable, but you never hear of it.
and Alan, if I digress, sorry, Alan has said quite forcefully, he was told to complain. He was told by other senior players, you cannot allow this, Alan. And Alan said, I've been at this club for 15 years. I can't besmirch its name.
That's disgraceful.
And he didn't take it further.
Yeah.
So there you go. These things did happen. And I share that with you. Right. Bringing you forward. Alan played the first 24 games of the 1970-71 promotion season. And I can remember what proved to be his last ever match for United in the league, when we all as a family, with Alan giving us the tickets before the game, we went to Bolton Wanderers in January 1971. That's the actual, can you see that? That's the actual programme from Bolton Wanderers. And it proved to be his final 576th league match with United, his only professional club. If I just quickly read you the team, just quickly. It's Hodgkinson, Badger and Hemsley, Powell, Colquhoun and Barnwell, Woodward, Tudor, Dearden, Curry and Salmons.
Not a bad team.
Wow. I'm not saying anything, but oh my goodness.
Yeah.
The following week, my dad took us all to Oxford United, vital away game at the Old Manor Ground, United in a massive promotion bid. According to my dad, Alan had no idea that he was not going to play in this match, and Hodgie was actually axed from the team en route on the team bus. And he wasn't going to keep goal in this match.
That's man management for you.
It was not. It wasn't, of course, until we saw this huge goalkeeper called John Hope run out that we realised Alan had been dropped. And it was the first time in his entire career that he was dropped on that day. The Old Manor Ground, some of you might have gone to, but you had to walk round the pitch from the players' tunnel to the trainers' benches. They were on the opposite side of the ground, which meant that Alan, now in his civvies, in his raincoat, he had to walk round the ground and behind the goal that John Hope is going to defend for the first time. Sorry. I remember that this was one of the saddest things I've ever seen on a sports field. And I saw my dad cry. And he didn't cry. At the end of a very good game, which United managed to win 2-1, he went to see Hodgie outside the dressing rooms and he just threw his arms around him. It was the end of Alan's brilliant career. He was 35 and he never appeared in another league game for United or for anyone else. That day he completed a total of 675 games. Sorry, I was a bit funny there, but it's just I can just visualize it.
Yeah.
Shortly after the Oxford experience, as I will call it, in 71. Dad arranged to go and see Alan at his home in Toddick,
Thank you.
and we all went for tea. And while we were having tea, Alan gave to me, I was only 15 at the time, he gave to me one of his badges from his shirt, his first team shirt, which was a gesture so typical and so caring of him. And it was a very proud moment for me to have that. And I've always looked after what I consider to be Alan's property. And it's now framed, and it's my pride and joy. So that's the actual old original badge from Sheffield United's shirt, and that's one of Alan's badges from his shirt. And I think if there was a fire in the house, I'd get Christine out and then I'd come back for this.
No, hang on. Wouldn't it be the other way around?
No, she's listening. I can't say that.
And we are recording.
And we are recording, so she can listen. In 2010, Alan also gave me a pair of his gloves, and he signed it. This is how he signed it. Today you get a scribble. This is Alan Hodgkins. This is what he's put. Sign is Alan Hodgkinson, MBE, Sheffield United and England. That's what it says. And that is priceless. There's one behind me, but I thought I'd try and show you the reality of a properly signed item.
Yeah, fantastic.
Wish more people would do that, but they haven't got the time. Alan Hodgkinson was also a very good cricketer, wicket-keeper, batsman. He played very serious local cricket for Sheffield United Cricket Club. And he shared this passion with obviously my dad, Mike. So between them, they arranged an annual cricket match every year between United and Retford Cricket Club at Retford. And this went on from the sort of mid-60s to the mid-70s. And the United team always arrived as the first team. Drew a big crowd, and it was a very interesting set of games. Now there's a member of our group here. This is 1974, and you can see that there's my dad and Ted Hemsley and Alan Hodgkinson, but there's also Keith Jackson and Keith. I did.
The bell's ringing. 2 seconds.
And Keith, you top scored in that game. I did some research. Yeah, you top scored, but then it rained, and so the game we only got 3/4 of the way. But it was a blooming good night. I've shown this picture so many times, I've bored you to tears. But I'm sorry. In 1975, Sheffield United with Alan Hodgkins arrived one short, and I was asked to play as the fielder, and I'm on the back, sandwiched between Hemsley and Badger. So you've seen that umpteen times, but every time I get an excuse, I'm going to bring that out.
Well, thank you very much. I haven't seen it, so
Indeed, Richard.
You were photo bombing. That's what you're doing.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, to run out of the same dressing room as those players with Alan Hodgkinson was quite an amazing thing to do. Alan continued his support of our fundraising efforts for charity at Retford almost the whole rest of his life. And I haven't shown this picture. This is 2002. And this is my team. I entered my own team into a tournament on our gala day, and I got Alan to be our manager. So he sat there with our team. Can anyone name the international umpire which features on this picture in that 2002?
Is it Kettleborough?
You get 10 out of 10 there, mate. It's Richard Kettleborough. Richard Kettleborough,
Yeah.
who is someone we Retford used to play against, and this is before his umpiring days, and he was in my team. I could pick my own team, and I made sure I'd got some good players. So that was a lovely day. That was a lovely
Son
day.
knows Richard Kettleborough, but I can't remember how he knows him.
All right. Well, his father played against my father for Steatley, and therefore had some right old battles. And Richard grew up on the boundary line, learning how to play, and then became a county player. And he's now probably one of the best umpires, well, in world cricket.
Is he related to Keith Kettleborough? Sorry to interrupt, Chris.
Don't know about Keith Kettleborough. His father was Alan, so it could be his uncle. It could be his uncle. Yeah.
I think he is. Yeah,
I think Keith is, isn't he?
I think he is. Yeah.
Yeah, Keith Kettleborough was his uncle.
Yeah.
Am I right?
Right. Sorry, Chris.
No. Old black and white photograph just showing you Len Badger batting, 1974. Bob Widdowson, who I've mentioned, is keeping wicket because at that time, Bob Widdowson was a Retford player and obviously playing in that game. When Alan was working for Scotland and for Rangers, distance meant that we didn't see much of each other because of the distances and Alan working in Scotland. But in 2003, Alan was working for Coventry City as part of the management team with Gary McAllister. And that's the management team at Coventry in 2002, 2003, which I'm sure Jonathan is fully aware of. And there's the very good Scottish international player manager, McAllister, with Hodgie and Eric Black. Well, what happened was Alan, typical of the man again, he invited my dad and I to a match. So we were able to watch at very close quarters his warm-up sessions with the goalkeepers. And then after the game, we went into the director's area with Alan and sort of talked about it. It was a game held at Grimsby. If you can see that, there's Alan before the game, the match programme signed by McAllister. And there's Alan, doing his work before the game. And with a couple of pictures quickly to show you there. There he's doing his goalkeeping. And there's my dad on the touchline, sort of admiringly watching his great friend at work. Around this time, Alan was also an inaugural sort of member of the new museum at Bramall Lane, the Hall of Fame, with a lot of his memorabilia and artifacts in it. And he was invited to the ground about 2003. And that's just a quick picture. There's his business card. Alan had a business card which says Alan Hodgkinson, MBE, professional goalkeeping consultant. That's the top card, isn't it? And there's my membership card of the Blades Museum with Hodgie featured on the card. And the bottom is Alan, John Garrett, Brenda, his wife, outside, no doubt discussing past glories and memories before they went in. So again, I don't think anyone's seen those pictures before this morning. How am I doing time, Keith, wise?
Brilliant
Right.
though he was, hasn't he got a lot to answer for? Wasn't he coaching at Wednesday when Chris Woods was goalkeeper?
He did have something to do with Woods, but you can't blame Alan for lack of talent.
Once the blade, always the blade. It was set
Right.
up.
Yeah,
Right.
definitely.
Right, can you all see that?
Maybe
Can you all
last
see?
minute or extra time in FA Cup replay.
Yeah. Well, he was good against United. He was always up for the fight.
Yeah,
Yeah, it was frightened to death.
yeah.
All right.
Are you strangling yourself there, Chris? Or what?
Right. Just putting my scarf on. Right. Hodgie, on May the 16th. Sorry, I got the wrong one. On May the 16th, 2010, Alan was now the goalkeeping coach working for Chris Wilder at Oxford United. And he found himself once again at Wembley when Oxford took on York City in the National Conference playoff final. Very generously, Alan invited Christine and myself to be his guests at Wembley. And we went for the day, and we all became Oxford fans for the day. Here's my scarf, which I bought at Wembley. I'll never throw that one away. It's the only playoff final I've ever seen the team I'm supporting win. Okay. Okay. All the others have been very sad and very downcast. This was joyous, right? Just happened to be Oxford. Alan was very, very proud of this achievement with Chris Wilder, and we went back with him to the hotel, the Hilton Hotel, and we were in the the after match celebrations, and I met Chris Wilder personally for the first time. What happened was, as we were watching the game, as before the game, I pointed the camera at Alan as he was coming off the Wembley. Certainly for the last time, you would think. And he looked up and he waved to me. He managed, I don't know how he did it. He just knew roughly where we were, but he looked straight at me. And that picture is Alan coming off Wembley. It's my picture, so it's never been shown before. There he is waving. His young daughter is the girl in the picture. And that's him coming off Wembley, having got the goalkeepers ready for the match. I gave him that picture. I framed it for him and I gave it to him a few weeks later. And then on a visit to his home in Dunchurch, Christine and I have to say, we're very touched to see that he'd already hung that up, that framed picture, in his study, which was a huge study of his life, his memorabilia. So I know how much that victory meant to him. We were very proud that he's got that photograph. Nothing's been changed at the house, so it's probably still there. There's Chris Wilder and Alan at the end of the game at Wembley. That was a big moment for them both. And that's the programme, which is signed by Chris Wilder. A certain Jake Wright was playing for Oxford on that day. Chris Wilder brought him to Bramall Lane as soon as he could when he got the job at Bramall Lane, and Jake Wright was a good player for United in the public, Division 1.
Stop being so bitter, Chris.
All right, no, I can't help it. I'm just right. And you'll forgive me for showing. We had a fantastic time at the after match party, and that's probably the biggest trophy I've ever had my hands on. But that was a great day. We were made so welcome, and it was brilliant.
Where do you keep all these photos, Chris? And Keith's lot?
Oh, have you not? Right, hang on a minute. You not see that lot?
And that's only one wall. Yeah.
That's only one wall. I can find them now. I didn't used to be able to find anything. A car park in Banbury, I've called this bit. During his 6 years at Oxford, Christina and I met Alan and Brenda on many occasions at his home, and we either had a chat and a cup of tea or went for a meal in the village. But one meeting happened in a car park in Banbury.
Are you sure you want to tell us about it?
Yeah. It's quite clean. As I was waiting to go to a business appointment, because I was working at that time, a car pulled up, and the driver, unknown driver, gave me a big sort of, honk on his horn to get my attention. And I turned, and it was Alan, fully kitted out in his car. And what he was doing, he was meeting the Oxford goalkeepers in that car park to go for a training session. And I had a brilliant conversation with him. I'll never forget it. What I remember is his enthusiasm for the game. It just shone. And it was so cheerful and positive. This man is now, in his 70s, and he's in the tracksuit going to train goalkeepers. Amazing. Of his honours, he was obviously proud of his England caps. He was equally proud of winning, if you can see the trophy, that's the Sheffield United Supporters Club Player of the Season Award for 66-67. Now, and his England cap against Wales. In 66-67, Alan Hodgkinson played every single league game, 42. He played 54 games in total, and from memory, he was faultless. And we finished 10th in Division 1. Wouldn't we give for something like that now, with a goalkeeper that can keep goal, by the way? He also received the MBE at Buckingham Palace in 2008. He received from Gordon, that's Alan getting his MBE at the Palace. And an award he treasured forever was he was given a professional award by the FA for his services to the game. And that was obviously presented to him by the great Gordon Banks. The Sheffield Newspaper Group, who would cover his entire career since he was at Worksop Town, in 2013, they held a night at which they gave Alan Hodgkinson their Lifetime Achievement Award, very richly deserved. But I'd have to say to you guys this morning that whatever awards we talk about, they don't really fully ever recognise his absolute dedication to United, England, Scotland, UEFA, and the role that he played in the development of professional goalkeeping in world football. No award could really adequately do that. I'm going to tell you an allotment story now. Because when he eventually retired from Oxford in 2012, after 60 years in football, he'd already become an allotment owner in his village in Dunchurch near Rugby. And he took great pride in those allotments. But it wasn't until he'd retired that the fellow allotment owners actually began to realise who he was. Because to them, he was just this man called Hodgie, who lived in the village but worked away. So they began to realise gradually just who he was, because Alan would never tell them, too modest. So when they needed an updated facility called a shed, the Allotment Association asked him to organise a night for fundraising, which obviously he did. And I went to this night in the library in the village, and it was absolutely fantastic. He gave a spellbinding performance with cine film and pictures. It was brilliant. And the audience was actually shocked how much they didn't know about the man they thought they knew in the allotment. When the shed was built, they invited him to open it and cut a ribbon on the shed. And he did that in his England blazer and a smile. He wore both. Now, on that night to raise funds, the local printer produced 3 unbelievable, brilliant brochures dedicated to the career of Hodgie. And if I was in a meeting, I'd let you flick through them. But they're full of pictures from Alan's own collection. This one here, in colour, there's Bob Widdowson, the understudy, and Hodgie. That's taken about 1967-ish. I've got all 3 of these books. They are unbelievable. And I would think because they were only done for that event, they'll now be quite rare. And it covers his entire career, coaching, the whole lot.
4
Fantastic.
minutes, Chris. 4 minutes.
Right. Well, I'll skip forward. He did have a book launch, which many of you will have got. It's a wonderful book. There's a picture of my dad and myself at the book launch at Bramall Lane in 2013. In 2015, I got a call from Alan. He just used to ring me and say, you know, what's happening? And we agreed he would attend my dad's 80th birthday. And despite the fact he wasn't very well, he made the journey and we had a wonderful day. And my dad was over the moon. That's in the back garden. Alan and Tony Curry, who was there as well. And this is a big effort by Alan to get there. And then a bigger picture of a group. There's Brenda Hodgkinson on the left, all the way through to Tony Curry and Liz Curry, and my mum, Mary, in the picture as well. Very happy times, 80th birthday. I think you were there, Keith, as well.
I was, yes.
You and Eileen were there. So, I've got to finish on a sad note because Alan passed away in 2015. I organised a business appointment so I could get to Coventry to go and see him. And on the very day I went to see him, I picked the totally wrong time because the whole family was round his bedside. and I realised that I'd walked in on the wrong time, and they were fine. They made me very welcome. We left the hospital together. I got in the car, the phone went, and it was Tony Curry, breaking the news to me that Alan had passed away. So in between leaving the ward and the car, it was very sad.
Heartbreaking.
If I've only got a minute or two, I'll edit to a quote. This is Alan speaking. There's lots of stuff like his funeral was attended by the most amazing group of football people, and they did Annie's song and My Way, and it was just fantastic. But I'll cut to the quote I want to give you. In shoot or goal, John,
Yeah.
shoot or goal,
Yeah.
Alan was quoted as follows, and I think this sums up the everything. I really appreciate what United have done for me over the years, and giving them loyal service is one of the ways I can show my appreciation of their efforts. If a player stays with one club, he makes lots of friends but very little money. It's a known fact that the soccer rovers pick up handsome rewards. But if I had to choose between the two, I'd choose friendship. And
Brilliant.
Alan Hodgkinson passed away on the 8th of December 2015, and I miss him a lot. Thank you.
Fabulous.
Thank you.
Brilliant.
Fabulous. Brilliant, Chris.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Our chairman has disappeared by the looks of it, and we've got less than a minute left, it says here.
That was superb, Chris.
Yeah, fabulous.
Sorry, I got choked up, but
Understandable.
it's still very personal.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I've only got 2 United player autobiographies, and one of them is Hodges. The other
It's a
is
good-
Jimmy Egan biography.
Hodges' book's a belter, isn't it?
Oh, it's terrific. Yeah, that's signed as well. Yeah.
If anyone's looking for a real football book about how football was,
Great book.
that is a magnificent book. And it is written the way Alan spoke. It is written in that way.
Yeah.
Do you think that's still available, or is that?
Oh,
quite a
Oh,
while?
yeah, it will be.
Oh, yeah. It's only 2013.
Briefly, I'll mention, as I mentioned before, he did coach our school team for a